my name's Dan of EPX Technical Services. Today I am here to talk to you about onboarding and offboarding procedures and, most importantly, how to make sure you're leveraging your IT department to their best as a part of those procedures. I am willing to bet you have an onboarding or offboarding procedure already. Good for you, fantastic. The most effective way of getting the IT department involved, though, has your IT department seen your offboarding procedure? Has your HR department, your line managers and your IT department all sat down together and made sure they all understand each other? Do you as a business have a standard process to say, when we have to give someone 30 days notice, or when they give us 30 days notice, or if someone leaves all of a sudden, gardening leave, etc., what are we going to do in those situations? How quickly does the process need to execute? And does everybody know their part in it? Starting there, before we even bring tech into it, would be the best thing to do. Some IT best practices that you should be factoring in. Did you know there is a technology that we tech companies use called single sign-on? If you're a Google house or a Microsoft house, this is a common feature. In Microsoft, it's called Azure AD, or it's now called Microsoft Entra, which is where you have one email address as your username and one password. Then you have all the multi-factor on top that you could ever want, but you have one username and password. That'll get you into your computer, your email, your OneDrive, etc. That's something that's been around forever. But more and more third-party systems and cloud-based tools are using this single sign-on so that you can log into them as well using just this same ID. Now, as long as that ID is secured correctly, this is incredibly convenient because most companies have so many third-party systems that when a member of staff leaves, it's easy to accidentally leave them with access to stuff. Which brings key point number 2. You need documented all of the software systems and cloud-based systems that your employees will have access to, so that you know what to take away. It may sound simple, but so many businesses miss this out. Some examples of what businesses forget. They forget the ID card for the building. They forget to remove them as admin from the company's Facebook or LinkedIn account. They forget to change the Wi-Fi key. Or, here's an important one which might cost you something. They leave licenses applied to people who've left the company, so you're paying for stuff where the person is no longer even there. Next, what do we got? Physical asset management. We just talked about the list of software being important and the list of third-party systems. Physical assets. I cannot tell you how many businesses we've met over the years where they have got mobile phones left at ex-employees' houses, or laptops that have just been passed around. So you go to a branch office and there's a pile of laptops in the corner. When you ask what's that for, they say, oh, this is where we put the laptops of ex-members of staff. They're just forgotten. No way is that safe. You don't want to have a machine just sitting in an office, or worse, in someone's house, that's been forgotten about. There is disk encryption in place. Disk encryption is a technology that means your data is safe if they haven't logged on. Well, it's currently 2024, and in the last 3 months there have been reports about Microsoft BitLocker encryption and Apple's encryption all being bypassed. So you cannot 100% trust disk encryption. If there is a laptop or phone somewhere out there with your stuff on it, that is a vulnerability and a risk for your company. And most importantly, the scariest question of all, could you honestly tell me that you know there isn't a laptop or phone out there in the field with your stuff on it? If you can't guarantee that you know where your data is, I promise you it is not safe. So you need to have a physical asset register in your organization, and attached to that asset register will be who has what asset. And in your offboarding procedure, you need to have a rule, a timeline, an HR policy. Speak to your HR advisor about this, about when that equipment needs to be returned to you. What timeline are we talking about here? Is there a penalty for not doing so? Because you need this tech back. It's yours. Whatever you come up with as your procedure, make sure that you, your team, your managers, your HR people and your IT people have all seen it and had involvement in the creation of it. Most IT companies, most help desks, the one we run, for example, we have a form that you can fill in when you're onboarding a new member of staff. You'll say, here's how their name is spelled. Here's the email address. Here are the tick boxes to say what folder we want access to. That's an okay way of doing it. The next level up is where you have profiles for certain types of member of staff. So when you hire someone, you say, hey, this member of staff has got this particular role. And the IT company goes, all right, we'll apply all those settings based upon that role. That's the next level up. But the top tier is where you've integrated your user creation process with your HR software. So the second you create a new person on the payroll, it automatically kicks off a process to create their user account on the server, to create user accounts with third-party tools, to raise a ticket with the help desk to say, build them that laptop. This is where true efficiency really kicks in, where you get your systems talking to each other. This is just some simple consulting, by the way. It's a few days worth of work to draft out a plan of how you're going to automatically onboard new members of staff and how you can automatically offboard members of staff. Or it could even be that they're temporarily offboarded for a holiday or for leave of some kind. You can include that. You can suspend all accounts temporarily if you have the process nailed down. So try and put together a process if you don't have one. Make sure your IT department are involved in it. And if you have any questions on it, call us.